I wanted to follow, actually, my colleague, Mr. Gutierrez, some of the questions and comments he was raising. I actually come from an area in Los Angeles that is very, very concerned about secure communities and the number of detentions that were non-criminal. And so maybe you could respond a little bit to that in terms of why people were detained if there weren't criminal charges. And in addition, I wanted to ask you about the children. He made reference to the children whose parents are deported and the ones that are put in the foster care system. And specifically, I wanted to know what happens to them, but I also wanted to know a name of a person in your office that I can have ongoing communication about the children who wind up in foster care.
And so we will follow up with you after the hearing for a name. We're actually working on a policy trying to address with Health and Human Services this sort of issue of what do you do with U.S. citizen children when you remove the parents, and they have to go into either, if they're left here, they go into the child welfare system. With regard to secure communities, we have implemented secure communities nationwide in every jurisdiction. There are frequent criticisms and allegations that we are using it to identify a lot of non-criminal offenders that I don't think is entirely fair. It's a very sensible program. We are trying to focus our resources on the criminal justice system. Occasionally, someone will be charged with a criminal offense, and they've also been deported from the country before, or they also have an outstanding final order. Technically, that person is a non-criminal offender because they have yet to be convicted, but I don't think it is reasonable to expect the agency to ignore the fact that they are in the country here unlawfully or they have an outstanding final order that they ignored. And in those circumstances, when we identify them through secure communities, we will place a detainer on those individuals and we will seek to remove them from the country.
In Los Angeles, what was happening was raids, raids of workplaces. And I don't know how a decision is made, about that.
Well, I am not aware of raids as you would describe them in the last 4 years. The Secretary instituted a new policy for worksite enforcement that had us focus first and foremost on criminal violations by the employers, heightened audits, and an effort to work with the business community to encourage voluntary use of E-Verify, which we've done. Last year we had over 3,000 I-9 audits, which was the highest level in the agency's history, and we have generally not pursued the very large-scale administrative raids you saw previously.
Okay. I want to give you an example. I was in Miami, Florida with the Foster Youth Caucus, and we were visiting a residential facility for foster youth. And I'm from Los Angeles, and on that day, they were getting 4 kids from Los Angeles who were being sent to Miami to be in residential care. And I guess my concern is that for those parents that do wind up deported, their children could get lost in our system when they could have relatives who are here legally.
We do everything we can to ensure that the children, if they are not going to go home with their parents, are in an appropriate custodial situation. This is a very challenging area.
Yeah.
Most of the people that we are talking about, most of the parents, are criminal offenders. Some of the damage has been done long before ICE takes custody of them, and the person has been incarcerated for quite some time, and a challenging family relationship now exists, and obviously simply having a child is not a basis for staying in the country lawful.
Sure.
You've committed an offense.
Yeah, and I'm definitely referring to the ones that were not. But if I could follow up, if I could have my staff follow up with yours to get someone who is looking at that policy with DHS, I would definitely like to be included in that.
Yes, ma'am, we will do so.
Thank you.